Forget all the other news. This is what I've been waiting for. Dallas still stinks.
For me, I think that being aggressive has always been part of my DNA.
Yo, by the way, Kick Dingbat here. So the greatest franchise in sports, with the greatest logo in sports, with the greatest GM in sports, along with the head coach, Nick the cannoli-eating Sirianni, held a press conference today, and one thing is clear coming out of it. They're going to take a safety in round one. Psych! Maybe they will. Who knows? Maybe they will. But the thing that is really clear for real is that this team, in their mind, is sitting pretty. They're in a situation where they feel they can't lose because they know that no matter what happens and how this draft plays out, they've got a plan. And to me, I said this year after year after year, when Howie Roseman is aggressive, the Eagles tend to have really good seasons. And yes, he's been really not that aggressive in free agency. He wasn't able to be. But I expect him to be aggressive in this draft. And what does that mean? How is that going to show up? I think we'll see. I think obviously there's a few players, not many, but there are a few guys they'll trade up for. Then if they have to stay put, they will. And if the possibility where they get a big offer to move back, it's possible. Everything is in play, and we're going to see, but it really depends how things fall. But to me, what's most exciting about what the Eagles have done in the last few days is who they've brought in for a visit. Now, we're going to talk about it in a second, but before we do that, I got to talk about this, right? Because I'm getting crushed in my DMs today and emails about this situation. So I'm gonna stomp it out right now, okay? The Ian Rappaport said the Dolphins and 7-time Pro Bowl cornerback Jalen Ramsey are mutually set to explore trade options, and it wouldn't be a surprise if he played somewhere else in 2025. Ramsey is due 25.1 fully guaranteed this season, could be parting ways. You know what I get. Philly, do we want to go out and get Jalen Ramsey's? My answer to that is hell no. No, we don't want anything to do with Jalen Ramsey. I know the Eagles have showed interest in years past when he was in his prime and stuff like that. But to me, everything about Jalen Ramsey changed, whether I would even pursue him, when they basically ran Vic Fangio out of Miami, right? He complained about Vic Fangio. You guys remember this?
Quite a few players on the team that didn't necessarily get along with Fangio. And so it wasn't a great relationship.
So you guys remember, he was basically one of the guys that had problems with Vic Fangio. So why the hell would I want to bring him into Philly? Ain't no chance. And besides, he's 31 years old. So hell no, I'll pass on that. Thank you very, very much. Now, what I am very excited about, I'm telling you, I'm very, very excited about, is who the Eagles brought in for a visit. Finally, a safety. Wait, rerun. Yeah, because why? I want a safety in round one. I do. I think that this is where the opportunity lies for the Eagles, because I think you're going to get such a heavy draft on edge rushers early. I think edge rushers are coming off the board quick. I think they're going quick. So you're going to be talking about like 5th, 6th best edge rusher, or possibly the best safety in the draft, okay? The Pound Eagles hosted Georgia star safety Malaki Starks on a top 30 visit at Elliott Shore Parks. To me, this is big, because I think if you look at Nick Amenwori and you look at Malaki Starks, I would say that I think Malaki Starks probably fits the Eagles and what they would want from their safety more than Nick Amenwori. Now, I think Amenwuri has higher upside, but I think both guys are capable of starting right away. And let me just say this: this isn't a definite, reason that the Eagles are going to draft a safety. This doesn't mean, oh yeah, they're drafting a safety. It just means that if you base things on history of the past, where the Eagles draft from their top 30 visits, it puts him in play. That's all it means, okay? That's all I'm saying. And yes, I would love to get a safety, a guy that could come and start right away. And I also have to be careful because I can't fall in love with drafting the position over the talent. If there's a guy that they feel is more talented than Malaki Starks or Nick Amenwuri, then go get him, okay? That's how I feel. Go get him. But in terms of what I think is going to be available for the Eagles, an opportunity, I think it's going to be a safety because I think you're going to get a chance to get the top safety as well as still being, probably one of the best players on the board at the time. But it all depends how everything falls. But Malaki Starks comes in for a visit, and we'll see if other safeties continue to do that. I really wonder if the Eagles held back some of the top 30 visits, the guys they want to brought in, until late in the process so other teams can't really see or understand what they're doing. The Eagles are sitting pretty. They're sitting pretty in this draft. And if they could take Malaki Starks in the first round, I mean, the way I see it is, boom, he's starting right away. You got Reed Blankenship. You could give him his extension. You got Q, and you got Coop. Now you're going to see what we got with Ringo. I mean, Ringo, man, this is it for him. This is it. We're going to find out if trading up for him was worth it, okay? A lot of interesting things. But however, if James Pierce Jr. fell in a range where the Eagles could trade up and get him, it'd be hard for me to get upset at that. I wouldn't. But I would like a safety, and I personally feel that the safety is the one position this year where, well, not the only one, but I think it's one of few that you may get need and talent all wrapped up into one. And so that's what I say. Malaki Starks coming in for a visit is a good thing for me. It's a beautiful thing, okay? And the Eagles, they held the press conference, Howie and Nick, and I thought it was pretty interesting because I think the Eagles, I think they're willing to go in many different directions. I don't think they're tied to one thing like, all right, we've got to trade up and get up, or we got to trade back and get more picks. I don't think they felt that way. Matter of fact, Howie talked about after they won the Super Bowl in 2017 and they traded back out of the first round, one of the reasons they did it was they didn't have many picks. If you remember, we had given so many picks to get Carson Wentz. We were still paying heavily for that. So the Eagles didn't have a ton of picks, and that was one of the reasons why they looked to trade out. This year they've got a ton of picks. They don't have to do it. My feeling is I think I have a pretty good sense of like how they're approaching this thing, who they specifically like, who's at the top of the draft board. Only they know. But I think there's probably 2 or 3 guys at most that if they fall somewhere, to 23, 24, their Eagles are going to look to move up. And if they don't get that, they're going to stay at 32 unless they get a really good offer to move back. Remember, if you stay at 32, you get that year option, that extra year option, okay? It really comes down to, do the Eagles trust their draft picks? Do they trust their draft? If you look at the draft in the last 4 years, they're hitting on it pretty much everybody. So, to me, you got to continue to trust that. That's why you play Jalix Hunt next year and you play Nolan Smith. That's why you let Josh Sweats go, because you trust the guys you drafted. And the only way they can prove you right is to play them. So, to me, I think this is a team, and I really like that the Eagles go worst case scenario and then they work their way back. That's what Howie says they like to do. So they figure every worst case scenario and they have a plan for it. I like that, okay? The question is about trading out of the first round is this. Is there any team that is going to be desperate, let's say, to get a quarterback that would be willing to overpay to get that 32 spot? If there is, then you got, look, if you're a team and you're saying, all right, look, we got to get up to like 34 to get a quarterback. Okay, we got to get up no lower than 34. So if you have to trade a team that's 33 or at 32, you're gonna trade up and try to get the team that's drafted at 32 because of that extra year, especially with the quarterback. So what I'm saying is that first round pick, that last pick in the first round, could be a valuable trade commodity. And if it's to the point where you get a team like, I don't know, the Giants, the Raiders, somebody says, listen, we are willing to give you a mid-round pick this year, and we're willing to give you a future first. We'll give you a first-round pick next year. I'm doing it. I'm taking it, okay? However, if the Eagles need to get up and trade, into the 20s to get James Pierce Jr. or somebody that they like, boom, you got a bunch of third-round picks. This team is sitting pretty, can go any which way they want to go, okay? It's just a matter of how the draft falls. But it's going to be interesting in the next few days to see if, one, the Eagles go out and bring in more safeties for visits, and two, Howie talked, he didn't really want to talk about it, but they brought up Jordan Davis and his situation with his contract. Are they going to pick up his option year before the draft or after the draft? I can't imagine a scenario in which they would not pick it up. I just can't. So we'll see. Should be interesting. With that said, take care. Talk to you later. Of course, don't be a dingbat. Remember, it's Howie Vision, baby. We're all just living in it. Bringing Malaki Starks in is perfect. He comes in for a visit. He's potential. I can't stand this freaking cat. No, the only one getting any nice me cat. That's all, folks.
The brother screwed us.